Thank you, Ecostar, for this wonderful opportunity. We are sitting under a historically significant banyan tree called Bombay Stock Exchange. The Bombay Stockbrokers Association is as they began in 1875, and this institution, prestigious institutions, has seen all the ups and downs of Indian capital market, from the outcry system which happened in this Rotunda building, as the BSE Vice President said, from those outcry system to today's mobile app-based trading and investment. This exchange has seen it all. So I'm privileged to be here, standing here and addressing esteemed August gathering here. Thank you so much once again, Mr. Uday Kumar and Jaishankar. When Jaishankar asked me to address this gathering a couple of weeks ago, I suddenly realized that as a portfolio manager, we focus on large corporations. And for us, the top 300 companies in the country are our universe. We don't venture beyond that because it is easy to track those companies. It is easy to understand about those companies. But when I was prompted, when I was told that I need to address SME gathering, I dived deeper into the SME arena, and I found that my understanding, or the general understanding about Indian industry and capital market, is only half of the pyramid. What is visible is for the large organization. What is visible to us is the large organization. But beneath what is visible, you have a massive base of SMEs. So I went through, normally when I do research, I first look at the policy segment. What are the policies being implemented? What are the policies which are going to be implemented going forward? And then I look at the market research. So when there are two sources which I looked at for this presentation. One is Lok Sabha question answer session, and second was a survey done by a research institution. So the Lok Sabha question answer session was on 2nd of April 2026, where a specific question about Maharashtra MSMEs were asked, that how many numbers of SMEs are there from Maharashtra, and what are the segments, and what is the progress. So the answer given by the ministry in the parliament was 1 crore 1 lakh MSMEs are there from Maharashtra, and they have employed 3.44 crore people. That's a massive employment which is provided by MSMEs, which is hardly known. 48% of the total exports of this country comes from MSMEs. 31% of the total GDP is contributed by MSMEs. Hence, I said half of the pyramid is not visible. We know about large organizations. We are tracking all the top 300 companies, but the smaller companies are contributing, and the impact of their contribution is extremely immense and very important. Another research report which I went through was, it was a survey, and the survey covered nearly 461 SMEs, mostly family-owned and non-family-owned, across 14 cities. This happened in October and December 2025. And they have actually measured two indices, TCI and NTCS. So confidence indices, when we talk about trade confidence index and net trade confidence score, if you look at, one shows what is the confidence level of the promoter, and second is what is the net trade confidence, which is adjusted for risk. So the gap between trade confidence index at 74.30 and 56.40, the gap is 17.9. And the survey calls us as confidence trap. What does confidence trap means? The promoters are confident about their skill set, their business, but they are not confident about the environment in which they are operating. This is called confidence trap. So what are the reasons? I started thinking, what could be the reason for this confidence trap? And the possible reasons could be too many headwinds, which all the businessmen around the world are facing, lack of government support, or lack of awareness about the government support and policies. And third could be lack of resources to meet the challenges, different capacity expansions, different technology. So the lack of resources to keep themselves up to date could be the third reason. If you break down these aspects, the first aspect, too many headwinds. From 2008 onwards, we faced global financial crisis. Then there was taper tantrum, quantitative easing. Then 2017, quantitative tightening. First, the interest rate were brought down to almost zero level, and then it started going up. 2019, we were hit with COVID, and by the time we tried to find ways and means to come out of COVID situation, we were hit by Russia-Ukraine war, and we realigned with the Russia-Ukraine implications, and Donald Trump too was born. And in this avatar, he made all our lives miserable. And 2026 tariff plus he had ambitions in Middle East. So now we are in the neck-deep situation of 2026 as we grapple. The third, lack of government support or limited awareness about various government policies. Now, when we look at the government support, I just looked at the documents, ministries and respective ministries and other things. I found that there are enough and more relief measures or supporting policies found by government, and they are all implemented also. So relief or IC or team or SRI, they're all extremely useful policies implemented by the central government to support the SMEs. 50s, the sad part is limited awareness. 57.1% of SMEs told that they don't use free trade agreements, FTAs. And 68.1% said that this is because we don't even know that it exists. That's a very sad situation. When Government of India thinks that they are actually giving all policies and policy support and implementing it well, the industry is half of the industry doesn't even know that those policies exist. When it comes to resource management, lack of resources to keep up with the challenges. So the SME owners need to ask themselves a few questions. Am I managing my resources prudently? Do I have a contingency plan? Is there a concentration risk? Be it resource allocation or client base. Is there a liquidity risk? Is my money working hard enough? You need to ask, as an SME owner, you need to ask these questions to yourself. The survey identifies 3 specific crush points, things which can actually crush their business. One is the concentration trap. Over half of SME exports depend on 1 or 2 geographical destinations. Second is the invisible retreat. More than 52% of the respondents are planning to scale back from international operations thanks to the headwinds, global headwinds and geopolitical developments. Third is the most important. Since most of the SMEs are owned by families, there is a family fracture. Means earlier, the head of the family used to decide what should be the strategy, where we should invest, how we should expand our business, and the rest of the families used to actually listen and implement that. But today, because of the information overflow, because of the exposure youngsters have got, they are not actually budging by the senior's advice. The senior might be trying to protect the resources which are already generated. So preservation is what he's thinking, but the second generation is thinking about expansion into new territories. So there is a difference of opinion which is actually more damaging than macroeconomic risk when it comes to SMEs. That is what the survey says. When you look at the numbers, 6 numbers, most important 6 numbers, when I did, my research team did a good data crunching, and when we looked at all the SME numbers, there are 6 critical numbers. Net worth locked in business, almost 85% to 92%. Okay? And liquidity buffer, 0.8 to 2.5 months. Asset concentration, 0.6 to 0.86, whereas 0.25 is what is desirable. Single customer revenue share, 18 to 42%. Personal assets outside the business, hardly 3 to 7%. So all the numbers of MSMEs are well below the desirable levels for a prudent business enterprise. If you compare MSMEs versus large corporations, whether it is cash conversion cycle, working capital to revenue, working capital funded by bank, and debt, interest cost to revenue, liquidity buffer, reserve cover of working capital, everything is well below the desirable level. This also need to be looked at. Every SME owner need to check these facts and figures and try to improve the situation. The Red Sea disruption from October 2023 has created too much of damage, whether it is container rate cost, import-led lead time, import from West Asia, chemical input prices, or any other raw material estimated. I mean, every aspect, all the SMEs, like any other business enterprises, actually hit badly because of these disruptions. So the question need to be asked is, if your business income dropped by 25% for 6 months, how will you survive? And one possible answer could be a portfolio that does not move with your business can be the answer. That means, as an SME owner, if you have most of your assets locked in your own business, and that business gets into a situation where the cash is jammed, your products are not moving, whatever you have sold, the money is not coming back, the cost of operation goes up, so the entire business actually faces a headwind. At that point of time, what could actually support you if you had diversified your resources into something else which is least correlated, which has a least correlation with your existing business. So diversification of your resources. So today, if your business consumes 80 to 92% of your assets, real estate and other investments are 5 to 9%, equity and mutual funds are around 2 to 5%, fixed deposits around 2.4%, and gold is around 1%. This is what a typical SME owner's portfolio looks like. If you actually move on with a different tweaking in your portfolio, where you redeploy only 45% of your cash accrual into your business, and the balance accruals are actually deployed in a different manner, then probably you will have a buffer to face and circumvent the challenges which we will continue to face. So there are few instruments which you can look at today. Indian financial market is extremely robust, where you have a number of opportunity to diversify your risk and grow your money. So you need to consider these instruments which are already available. Retained earning, typically a retained small manufacturing company will have a PAT of 25 lakh. And today, almost 10 lakh is flow back to the same business. I am suggesting that if he diverts around 6 lakh into other financial assets, which are growing around 10% per annum, then at the end of 10th year, the small manufacturing unit can have 1 crore surplus created out of his own investment, which is kept aside. So instead of putting all the money back into this. A medium-sized manufacturing company which has around 95 lakh of profit can easily divert 24 lakh per annum, that is 2 lakh per month, which can actually create a buffer of 4 crore in 10 years' time. The assumed growth rate is around 10%, which is quite possible if you check the historical data. 3 steps. Diagnostic. Map current asset allocation across the businesses, real estate, financial assets, and compute the concentration ratios, where and all the concentration is happening. Second, architecture. Design a portfolio with low correlation to your sector, your import, export exposure, or any other product or service which you are into, and your cash flow cycle. Understand the architecture, and then either a lump sum investments or monthly regular diversion into some other asset class where the liquidity is the key beyond just returns. If you can create such a buffer through a different portfolio of financial assets, this can actually work very well for you. At Impetus Arthasutra, as a SEBI registered portfolio manager, we have 2 PMS schemes. One is Impetus Value, where we invest entirely on securities, that is stocks. And we have Impetus Trinity, which is a fund of fund, where we invest the investors' money in mutual fund schemes. And minimum investment for our PMS schemes is 50 lakh as prescribed by SEBI. So this is a problem, and the solution is diversifying into a portfolio where there is a least correlation with your business, and if it can earn around 10% per annum, then very well you have a decent cushion. Thank you so much. If you have any questions, I'm free. I'm willing to take. Thank you so much. Thank you, Jai Shankar. Thank you, Dev Kumar sir.